Hello, history enthusiasts. Today we're diving into a fiery tale, the Great Fire of London in 1666. Picture this. London, a city of timber-framed buildings packed tightly together like sardines in a tin. Add a dash of carelessness and a whole lot of dry weather, boom! You've got yourself a recipe for disaster. A phoenix from the ashes. The fire didn't just devour buildings, it consumed the old St. Paul's Cathedral, leaving it a smouldering ruin. But as they say, when one door closes, another one, well, gets built by a very talented architect named Christopher Wren. Wren saw the fire as an opportunity, a chance to create a masterpiece, and boy, did he deliver. The new St. Paul's Cathedral, with its majestic dome and intricate details, became a symbol of London's rebirth. It's a story of destruction and renewal, of tragedy and triumph. So buckle up as we journey back to 1666 and explore how the Great Fire of London shaped not only a city's skyline, but also its soul. A city slumbers. London, September 2nd, 1666. It's a Sunday just past midnight. The city sleeps, unaware of the inferno about to engulf it. Imagine the silence broken only by the occasional bark of a dog or the creak of a sign in the wind. The streets, narrow and cobbled, are lined with shops and houses, their timber frames blackened with age. It's a city of contrasts, of grandeur and grime, of wealth and poverty, because tucked away on Pudding Lane, a fire is about to start, a fire that will change the face of London forever. Spark to Inferno. Our story begins, as so many do, with a baker, Thomas Fariner, to be precise, a man who, let's just say, wasn't known for his rigorous fire safety standards. Imagine the scene, a dimly lit bakery, the air thick with the smell of yeast and warm bread. A stray spark carried by a draught lands on a pile of wood. No big deal, right? Wrong. The flames catch, small at first, then with alarming speed they grow. Now, remember how we mentioned those tightly packed buildings? Yeah, not ideal in this situation. The fire, fueled by the dry timber and a strong easterly wind, spreads rapidly from house to house. It's like a game of dominoes, but instead of dots, we're talking about people's homes and livelihoods going up in smoke. Panic starts to set in as the fire, now a raging inferno, races through the narrow streets. It's a scene of utter chaos, and it's only going to get worse. News of the fire spread slowly at first, hampered by the early hour and the general lack of, shall we say, a centralized emergency response system. Imagine being jolted awake by the sound of your neighbor pounding on the door, yelling about a fire. You look out the window and your blood runs cold. The sky is ablaze, painted in hues of orange and red. It's up to the people of London to fight this beast, armed with little more than buckets of water and sheer determination. Little do they know this fire is about to become the stuff of legends, a story they'll be telling for centuries to come. London in 1666 wasn't exactly a picture of social harmony. It was a city starkly divided by wealth and status. This division played a rather unfortunate role in the early hours of the Great Fire. The fire had the audacity to start in Pudding Lane, smack dab in the heart of the bakeries and workshops of the city. The residents of these areas were, shall we say, not exactly on the priority list of the city's elite. So, when the alarm was raised, those with the means to do so, the wealthy merchants, the noblemen, they didn't exactly rush to help. Instead, they focused on protecting their own properties, their fine houses in the more affluent districts. The Buckets Brigade. In the absence of a proper fire brigade, it was left to the ordinary citizens of London to tackle the inferno. And tackle it they did, armed with nothing more than buckets, axes, and a healthy dose of British grit. Picture this: men, women, and even children, forming human chains, passing buckets of water from hand to hand, desperately trying to douse the flames. Yet they persevere, these unsung heroes of the Great Fire. their efforts a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Sadly, their bravery and determination were no match for the sheer ferocity of the inferno. The King's Men. Word of the fire eventually reached the ears of King Charles II. Now, Charles was known for his, shall we say, relaxed approach to ruling. But even he realized that this fire was a bit of a big deal, so he dispatched his brother James, the Duke of York, to take charge of the situation. James, a man of action, arrived on the scene with a contingent of soldiers. Their task? To create fire breaks by demolishing buildings in the path of the blaze. It was a desperate measure, a last-ditch attempt to halt the inferno's progress. And it might have worked if not for one small problem. The Lord Mayor of London, Sir Thomas Bloodworth, hesitated. He was worried about the cost of all this demolition, you see, and while he dithered, the fire, well, it didn't. A cathedral under siege. By now, the fire had consumed entire neighborhoods, leaving a trail of smouldering rubble in its wake, and its next target, none other than the magnificent Old St. Paul's Cathedral. Now Old St. Paul's was more than just a church, it was the heart of the city, a symbol of London's history and faith. It had stood for centuries, weathering storms and upheavals. Surely, people thought, the fire would spare this sacred place. But they underestimated the inferno's appetite for destruction. The fire, driven by the relentless wind, reached the cathedral, its flames licking at the ancient stone walls. For 3 long days and nights, the fire raged, consuming everything in its path. By the time it finally burned itself out, London was a scene of utter devastation. Over 13,000 homes, 87 churches, countless businesses, all reduced to ashes. The old city, the medieval heart of London, was gone. The air was thick with the smell of smoke, the streets choked with debris. It was a sight that would stay with those who witnessed it for the rest of their days. Yet even in the face of such destruction, the spirit of London refused to be extinguished. Imagine the scene. Amidst the roaring inferno, Old St. Paul's Cathedral stood tall, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. Surely, people thought, this grand old dame, with its towering spire and thick stone walls, would withstand the fire's wrath. It had, after all, survived wars, plagues, and the tumultuous reign of Henry VIII. What was a little fire compared to that? Oh, the sweet naivety. They underestimated the fire's appetite, and so as the inferno raged around it, a sense of false hope settled over those who looked to the cathedral for solace. The fire, a relentless beast, had other plans. Fanned by the strong easterly wind, it surged towards St. Paul's, sending burning embers raining down on the surrounding churchyard. People panicked, scrambling to save what little possessions they had managed to salvage from their homes. They thought they'd found sanctuary within the cathedral's shadow, a safe haven from the inferno. But the fire, like a predator toying with its prey, had merely been biding its time. The cathedral's wooden roof, dry and brittle from the summer heat, was about to become the fire's next victim. It began with a single spark, a fiery messenger carried by the wind. It landed on the roof, igniting the dry timber with alarming speed. The flames, like hungry wolves, ripped through the ancient structure, their roar echoing through the night. The lead roof, unable to withstand the intense heat, melted and flowed like a silvery river, cascading down the cathedral walls. Eyewitnesses described molten LED pouring through the streets, engulfing everything in its path. The very stones of the cathedral, superheated by the inferno, exploded like grenades, showering the surrounding area with deadly projectiles. The firestorm recedes. For hours, the inferno raged, consuming everything in its path. St. Paul's, once a symbol of hope and resilience, was now a raging inferno, its interior a fiery furnace. The fire, exhausted from its rampage, finally began to subside. The wind died down, as if even nature itself couldn't bear to witness the destruction any longer. As the smoke cleared, a scene of utter devastation emerged. Old St. Paul ES, the heart and soul of London, was no more. A city scarred, a spirit unbroken. The morning after the fire was a sombre affair. The air, heavy with the stench of smoke and ash, hung over the smouldering ruins like a shroud. Londoners, their faces etched with shock and grief, surveyed the damage. The city they knew, the city that had stood for centuries, was gone. Yet amidst the ruins, a spark of defiance flickered. The fire may have destroyed their homes, their businesses, their beloved cathedral, but it couldn't extinguish their spirit. The Great Fire, a tragedy of unimaginable proportions, would become a catalyst for renewal. From the ashes of destruction, a new London would rise, a testament to the indomitable spirit of its people. With Old St. Paul's reduced to a smouldering shell, London needed a hero, an architectural knight in shining armour. Enter Sir Christopher Wren, a man who, as it happens, was not a knight at the time. He was, however, a bit of a genius, an astronomer, mathematician, and, most importantly, an architect with a flair for the dramatic. Wren wasn't just any architect. He was a man of vision, a master of geometry and proportion. And the statement he intended to make with the new St. Paul's was nothing short of breathtaking. He understood that a building, especially a cathedral, wasn't just bricks and mortar, it was a statement. Now, rebuilding a cathedral isn't your average DIY project, you know. It required someone who could not only design a building that would make angels weep, but also navigate the treacherous waters of royal whims, church politics, and, of course, the ever-present issue of funding. Wren, with his polymath proclivities, was the man for the job. He was a master of not just design, but also diplomacy, a skill as essential as a well-placed keystone when dealing with the powers that be. He was the ultimate Renaissance man, and London, rising from the ashes, was his blank canvas. Wren, ever the pragmatist, saw the fire as a chance to create something truly extraordinary. No more patching up the old crumbling structure, it was time for a fresh start, a cathedral for a new era. He envisioned a building that would not only dominate the London skyline, but also inspire awe and wonder in all who beheld it. And, being a bit of a showman, he knew exactly what would make a statement. A dome, a magnificent, awe-inspiring dome. The Great Model, a design for the ages. Wren poured his heart and soul into the design, eventually presenting his masterpiece, the Great Model. This wasn't just a blueprint, it was a scaled-down version of the cathedral, a work of art in itself. Imagine this, a miniature St. Paul's complete with a dome, pillars, and even tiny little pews. You could almost imagine tiny clergymen bustling about, performing miniature services. This was Wren's baby, his magnum opus, and he was understandably quite proud of it. But alas, dear viewers, even architectural geniuses aren't immune to the fickle finger of fate, or in this case, the even more fickle opinions of church officials. A clash of visions, tradition versus innovation. Wren's Great Model, while undeniably impressive, faced a rather large obstacle: the church commissioners. These learned gentlemen, while appreciative of Wren's architectural prowess, weren't entirely sold on his, shall we say, forward-thinking design. They found it a tad too modern for their liking. They wanted something a bit more, well, traditional. You know, the kind of cathedral that wouldn't look out of place in a medieval tapestry, all soaring spires and Gothic arches. Wren, ever the diplomat, listened patiently to their concerns. He nodded, he smiled, he probably resisted the urge to launch into a lengthy lecture on the virtues of classical architecture. A compromise, as they say, was in order. And so began a delicate dance between tradition and innovation. A battle of wills fought not on the battlefield, but over drafting tables and with carefully worded proposals. Laying the foundations, a city rises again. The Great Fire had barely finished smouldering when Londoners, ever pragmatic, rolled up their sleeves and got to work rebuilding their city. And overseeing this monumental task, quill in hand and a twinkle in his eye, was our man, Sir Christopher Wren. Now, Wren wasn't just rebuilding a cathedral, he was rebuilding a city's spirit. He envisioned a London not of narrow fire-trap alleyways, but of wide avenues and grand squares, a city that breathed, a city bathed in light. And at the heart of this new London, a symbol of its resilience and ambition, would stand St. Paul's, grander and more magnificent than its predecessor. But first, they needed a plan, a blueprint for greatness. Luckily, Wren, being Wren, had a few ideas up his sleeve. Now, Wren had a bit of a thing for domes. He'd been sketching them since his university days. For St. Paul's S, he envisioned a dome that would dwarf all others. Building it wasn't simple, it required engineering wizardry. Wren devised an ingenious three-dome structure. It became the defining feature of St. Paul's, a symbol of London's ambition. Building a cathedral, especially one as grand as St. Paul's, wasn't a one-man show, you see. It was a symphony in stone, a collaboration of countless skilled artisans, craftsmen and labourers, all working in unison under Wren's watchful eye. There were the stonemasons, their chisels singing as they shaped massive blocks of Portland stone. The carpenters, their saws humming as they crafted intricate details. The glassblowers, their furnaces roaring as they created stained glass windows that would bathe the interior in a kaleidoscope of colours. And then there were the lesser-known heroes. The labourers who hauled stones, mixed mortar and erected scaffolding, their sweat and toil as essential as any architect's blueprint. Wren, a firm believer in recognising talent, assembled a dream team of artisans, each a master in their craft. Years turned into decades, and slowly but surely St. Paul's rose from the ashes. Scaffolding came down, revealing soaring columns and intricate carvings. The dome, Wren's pride and joy, took its rightful place, dominating the London skyline. And finally, on a crisp December day in 1697, 31 years after the Great Fire, the moment arrived. St. Paul's Cathedral, Wren's masterpiece, was consecrated, ready to take its place as the spiritual heart of a reborn city. It was a day of celebration, a day of triumph over adversity. Londoners, their hearts filled with pride, flocked to witness the event, to marvel at their new cathedral, a symbol of their city's indomitable spirit. Wren, standing amidst the throng, his face etched with a mixture of exhaustion and elation, knew that he had created something truly special, a building that would stand the test of time. A legacy in stone, Wren's enduring masterpiece. St. Paul's Cathedral, rising majestically above the bustling city, became more than just a church. It became a symbol of London's resilience, its ambition, its unwavering spirit. Wren's masterpiece, a harmonious blend of classical grandeur and English pragmatism, would inspire awe and wonder for generations to come. Its dome, a marvel of engineering, would become an iconic landmark, a beacon visible for miles around. Its whispering gallery, a testament to Wren's playful side, would delight visitors with its acoustic quirks. And its crypt, the final resting place of heroes and luminaries, would serve as a poignant reminder of the countless lives that had shaped the city's history. St. Paul's Cathedral, born from the ashes of tragedy, would stand as a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a symbol of hope and renewal for centuries to come. For St. Paul's and the rebirth of London. The Great Fire of London wasn't just a disaster, it was a turning point, a chance for a fresh start. From the ashes, a new London emerged, with St. Paul's as its crown jewel. Designed by Sir Christopher Wren, it became a symbol of hope. London embraced its new icon, making it the heart of the city. St. Paul's is more than just a pretty dome and a few fancy carvings. It's a testament to human resilience, to that indomitable spirit that says, "We will rebuild." It's witnessed history, this cathedral. It's seen plagues and wars, celebrations and commemorations, a silent witness to the ebb and flow of life in the Big Smoke. St. Paul's in the 21st century. Here we are in the 21st century, and St. Paul's is still standing, still turning heads, still reminding us that some things are built to last. It's a survivor, weathering storms, literal and metaphorical. It's seen London transform from horse-drawn carriages to a global hub, yet it remains a symbol of enduring strength and timeless beauty. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching the second part of this two-part series.